Greetings to you in this wonderful home. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to hear my view on the institution of marriage. And I want to assure you that your sacrifice will be worthwhile. Thank you. Let's quickly point out one or two things that will help you to follow me very well. Number one, I must state here that I personally dread talking about the institution of marriage for some reasons. I don't personally believe talking about it. One of the reasons has to do with the fact that nobody can claim to be an authority in the institution of marriage for some reasons. Before the so-called authority finished bragging about his knowledge about marriage institution, his marriage has crashed. Before the person begins to lay claim to the ability to maneuver in marriage, we discover that it's a failure too. Another reason why I fear talking about marriage is that the problems encountered in marriage come from various angles. It's multifaceted. It is such that you cannot pin down the problem of marriage on any issue. Whether you talk about finance, you talk about relationship, there are so many things that can lead to problems. So nobody can say he has the knowledge of everything that could pose problem to the institution. But I want to tell you this. I stepped forward as a result of mandate from God, the wisdom supplier, who has promised to enlighten us on the institution of marriage. So, my coming to you with this initiative is based on the mandate given to me by God, that He wants to send me to some people to mend marriages, to make things work better. So, God will help us. If anybody is ready to do anything, the first thing the person must have is to have the aims and objectives. The aims and objectives of this very initiative that is being sponsored by Functional Life Insights could be summarized as such. 1, to find out the reasons for instability in the institution of marriage. Why is it that marriage seems to be unstable? Every now and then, there will be one problem or the other cropping up. 2, to prepare the intending candidates for the institution of marriage. Experience has shown that whether the first set gets F9 parallel, some people are still interested in entering the institution. That is the way God ordained it. But rather than leaving everybody to their fate, one of the principal aims or objectives of this initiative is to begin to prepare those that are supposed to enter into that very institution, so that they will go there well equipped, well prepared for whatever that is in the institution. Number 3, to help stabilize the institution for those that are already in marriage. Some people have entered into it, but they discover that it's a different ball game. It's not as they thought. But with little discussions here and there, we can help them to have stability. And God will help us. 4, to supply the missing links in the perception about the institution of marriage. There are lots of things that are taken for granted while people are thinking about marriage, planning for marriage. We want to quickly look at this. The next will be the ways to achieve our objectives. What are the ways that we can employ? What are the ways that we can take to make sure these aims and objectives are achieved? They are laudable, but they will need strategies. Number 1, we'll be using lectures, training, symposia, guidance, and counseling to help people to realize some things about marriage. Number 2, true necessary tips and thoughtful insights. There are tips that could make people realize that marriage can be better than the way they feel it is. Number 3, by being practical and sincere. There are lots of insincerity in the discussion about the institution of marriage. We want to be sincere about the working of the institution of marriage. We want to lay it bare for people to know this is what you are entering into. This is not to scare, but to prepare you. Experience have shown that many people that are failing in marriage, they will come forward to come and tell a lot of lies. They cook up things, especially marriage teachers and what have you, or trainers. But here we are planning that we will say it the way it is, so that people will know the truth about marriage. This is not to scare, as I've said. Number 4, we are going to be tapping into the valuable experiences of those considered to have come out in flying colors in the institution of marriage. What does that suggest? There will be segments as we move on of interviews. We interview those that people can adjudge to have succeeded in marriage, and we will be putting the clip little by little into our discussion, so that people will know that when we say marriage is not so easy, that does not mean people have not been succeeding in marriage. Finally, by recommending helpful journals and write-ups considered useful to stabilize marriages. In that case, we'll be telling people if we have anything useful that they can go through. Like I will always say in any of my outings, I don't believe in plagiarism. Whenever I see something that is beautiful, that I've benefited from, I will lead you to the place straight. This is what you can go and look for. It will help you a lot. These are the ways we want to use to achieve our laudable objectives. In this episode 1, that is why I've given you all these objectives or ways of, because it is the first episode. In the subsequent episodes, you will not have anything like this. It's a continuation of what we are doing. If anybody will want to know more, they can refer back to this very particular episode. In this episode, we want to have a pragmatic view of the institution of marriage. In essence, our theme for this episode is a pragmatic view of the institution of marriage. But before we go far, we may need to justify our own belief, or my personal belief, that this type of initiatives will benefit both the singles and married. I am a curious person. Anytime you want to join this type of people together, I wonder how it will be possible. But there is a way we can look at it, so that you that are married, that are watching this, you will not feel that you are wasting your time. And those singles, they will not feel that it's just about their premarital life. It's about marriage entirely. Let me quickly say one or two things. For the singles that are planning to enter the institution of marriage, this type of lecture will prepare them for the task ahead. Having a practical understanding of the institution of marriage will equip them for success in life. As far as the married are concerned, if we can answer a wonderful question asked by a great king over 2,000 years ago, they will be helped as well. A wonderful king asked a question in person of King David in the Holy Book. He said, If the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? Many have been quoting it. They never bothered to look for an answer. This is the type of thing I love to do in my life. They say it was a question. The man was not stating it. He said, if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? If your marriage is killed, if you have entered into the institution only to discover that it was becoming a kind of punishment or heartbreak venture, what can you do? The answer is very, very simple. It may have been answered by genius ahead, or it may be the first time you are hearing the answer the way Holy Spirit put it to me. The answer is very, very simple. Like I said, all we need is to consult the one that constructed the foundation. This foundation is faulty. What can we do? The one that built the foundation or constructed the foundation from the beginning, as long as he's alive and is consulted, he will know how best to assist in rebuilding the foundation. This he could do either by rebuilding the foundation while ensuring that the building is not destroyed. In essence, either by adjusting the marriage without necessarily allowing the marriage to be destroyed, or by dismantling the whole building to erect a good foundation. Somebody quickly said, what does that suggest? We are not asking for divorce here, but there are things that we are holding firmly in marriage that needs to be dismantled. Having said that, we are so lucky that the builder of the foundation of marriage is very much alive, and he will remain alive forevermore. That is where marriage is surviving till today. He knows what to do. He is willing and able to reconstruct the foundation. The builder here is God, who ordained marriage. Because I know that man can build a house, but it is God that builds all things. So marriage is an institution ordained by God. So anytime we run into troubled waters in marriage, the best thing will be to refer back to the Lord, who is the owner of the institution of marriage. Listen to a great author here, and I love his summation. Though nobody can go back and make a new beginning, anyone can start over and make a new ending. When I saw it, I was so happy because it's so similar to what I have written before meeting this. I said in one of my writings that it might not be easy for you to go back to the beginning, but if you start doing what is right now, you can have a better future. It's the same thing. That is what the man is saying, that there is a better future if you decide to start something new now. So don't say, I'm married, there's nothing I need to do with all these things. There are things that if you had known before you entered into marriage, your marriage would have been the best. But knowing them even now can still be of help in adjusting things. So you cannot say you want to go and remarry. You cannot say you want to send away your wife or your husband because you have had a lecture. But what we are expecting is that henceforth, now you can start taking some things serious, and this will help, especially with this kind of initiative or information that you'll be getting from our discussion. You can be helped, and your marriage will be a success by God's grace. We can now agree with the little explanation I've made that both the singles and the married have one thing or the other to benefit from this initiative. Having said that, I want to go straight to today's topic. a pragmatic view of the institution of marriage. What do we mean? To be pragmatic is to relate to matters of fact or practical affairs. Practical as opposed to idealistic. To be pragmatic is to examine matters in a practical way. Many always rely on idealistic method. This is what ought to be. If you continue to say what it ought to be, people might not be able to improve. But let them know what it is. It is when they know what it is, they can now compare it with what it ought to be. They will now see the difference. That calls for sincerity. That is one of the reasons I respect people from the civilized societies. They seem to be more faithful in marriage affairs than the developing countries. It is easier for somebody from that side to tell you, I was looking for my gun. I wanted to shoot my wife, but she was lucky to escape. But in developing countries, the person will have shot the wife. He will still tell you lies that he has never touched her in his life, that they have never fought. It's only in Africa that you see, or other continents, it's not just Africa, but developing nations, that you see a wife and the husband that have never argued in their life. Are they robots? But people tend to cover a lot. But here we want to give it a practical approach, telling you what could happen and how it may happen. So it is time for us to have practical approach to matters arising from marital issues. We cannot continue to pretend that it is well with the institution, especially when we cover the truth from the upcoming or the candidates for the institution. They enter there only to find themselves in the same trouble that we have found ourselves. But if we are sincere with them, that these are likely problems you can encounter, they will be fully prepared to surmount such problems. That is what I want us to look at. The task before us is to find out the reasons why marriage is so unstable and doesn't last as expected. Let me say this. Most people that said on that day, till death do us apart, they are drawn apart today by minor disagreements or major quarrels that tore them apart irreconcilably. They were hoping that it will be death, but death will not even come near them. It might be minor disagreements that will do them apart. In order to avoid such little skirmishes here and there that destroys marriage, we want to be sincere and let you know that if you continue like this, this is what is likely to be the end. So, I want us to start. The first step to assist ourselves today is to dictate the problem that marriage is running into every now and then. And the first problem marriage has all over the world is definitional error or misconception. Definitional error or misconception. What does that mean? Marriage as an institution seems to have suffered and is still suffering from definitional error and misconception. Definitional errors and misconception. Many people do not really have correct idea about marriage. Many people do not have correct perception about marriage. They are just going about with wrong perception, and their approach will be based on their perception about marriage. The real error in marriage is noticeable in the confusion about its function or purpose. The real error, the definitional error, is noticeable in the confusion about the function or purpose of marriage. I will not be able to go fully into that, but I will let you know what I'm saying. The function or purpose of marriage seems to have been misunderstood by people engaging in marriage. I will quickly define something for you to understand better. I'll call it functionality or attractiveness. Is it functionality or attractiveness? For any concept, product, or institution to be successful, its functions must be enhanced and preferred over its attractiveness. Hope I'm talking to somebody. For any product, concept, or any institution to be successful, the function or purpose for its establishment or production must be enhanced and preferred over its attractiveness. What does that mean? Any attempt to place attractiveness over and above the function will render the product or institution ineffective or substandard. The moment you prefer attractiveness to the function, the moment you are lured into anything just because it is appealing alone, not because of the function it will perform, you may end up not having the best in your hands. A good example, you will never see somebody on adventure, somebody going out like Mungo Park looking for a luxurious car. He will be looking for the cars you considered as Jaguar, cars you considered as not fine at all, not attractive. But the way that car is built, yeah, it will pass through water, it will walk on the rock, it will walk in the marshy area, which the most beautiful cars will never be able to attain. Are you getting what I'm saying? When you see the cars they use in exploration, traveling in deserts, there is nothing beautiful about such cars, but they call them German machine. When they move, you will know a car is moving. They don't just go off because they are going to a place where you cannot get mechanic, where you cannot get water, where you cannot. So we call it custom build. It's not about beauty, it's about function. And that is number one problem in marriage today. We will get there, I will explain better. There are products today, I don't want to mention anyone, but you can think of them. When you want to buy them from the store, you are buying them because they are very, very attractive. But when you get old, when you begin to want to use them, you will discover that you have wasted your resources. Am I communicating? Do you know a very sharp knife might not look beautiful? A very beautiful knife might not be as sharp as it ought to be. I hope you are getting my what I'm trying to pass across. Don't misquote me. Beauty is an added advantage. When something is looking beautiful, in addition to the ability to perform the exact function is needed for, juice by it. Kudos. But when it is so attractive but could not perform the function, the choice is yours. As far as I'm concerned, I prefer functionality above attractiveness. I am not against attractiveness, packaging, beautiful appearance, but as long as the function is not going to be performed well, let it go and sit down. That takes me to the point that when a beautifully packaged product is discovered not to be performing well, people will begin to drop the idea of buying it. That is why they don't last in the market. And I put this forward. To be functional is to be designed to be practical and purposeful rather than being attractive. To be functional is to be designed. You will have been seeing it on your movie now. To be functional is to be designed to be practical and purposeful rather than just being attractive. Marriage is designed to serve a purpose and perform certain functions that are meant to make it relevant and compulsory. We have made it compulsory, but at times it's becoming irrelevant. I hope I'm not confusing my listeners. It is compulsory because God has ordained it, and nobody, we can do shakara. You will see a man, God forbid, that has just lost his wife. You will say, are you going to remarry? You will say, marriage? Never again. After 3 months, the man will become a hunter, hunting for another wife. Are you getting me? It's not his fault. But it has to be relevant, useful, purposeful, not just compulsory. We have seen marriage as a compulsion. If somebody is not married, we will not allow the person to be. Sister, especially ladies. Sister, why are you delayed? What are you doing? Are men not calling you? If it is a man, can't you talk to a woman? But we have forgotten that it is not just to be married. But at the same time, it has to do with the function, purpose that one is going to marriage for. It may be helpful to state the function of marriage as designed by God, the designer of marriage. I will talk about it in full in the nearest future, but because the future is almost here, I just want to paraphrase it and give you the most important one, the basic, the primary aim or function of marriage as designed by God. The basis or primary purpose for marriage is that it is not good for the man or woman to continue to live alone, pure and simple. All other ones we'll be discussing in the nearest future will be in addition to the first and primary purpose of marriage. The first and the primary purpose why God instituted the marriage to take place, or why God decided to bring people together, is for them to be able to kill loneliness, to live together in harmony and in companionship. There is need to get a companion for him or her, somehow to complement, to relate with, and to hold together to avoid loneliness and its effects. The effects of loneliness is better imagined than defined. At this junction, the question is this: where is the companionship? Listen to me in this very hope. Where is the companionship in the wife living in England and the husband living in America. It is not good for this man to live alone. It is not good for this woman to live alone. Now they are joined together. After 3 months, one of them traveled to, maybe because of economic consideration, one of them now travel far. Are they not living alone again? Is the function of marriage being performed? It has been defeated. The purpose of marriage in that scenario or situation has been defeated. That is why you can travel to work, come back on time. Long distance marriage is not fulfilling the function of marriage. Am I communicating? We are not looking at it from the functional aspect of marriage. We are now looking at it from the decoration, from the attractiveness. You will see the man who is living thousands of kilometers from the wife. You say, oh, I have a beautiful wife at home. That beautiful wife is lonely. The wife will say, I have a very handsome husband in America and he's still in Africa. The husband is living alone. I know some of you will go beyond me and say, if they choose to. Then the institution is, the purpose is defeated. At this junction, I must quickly state, I am not here to create fear about marriage. Only to let you know that there are some things that are not supporting the functionality of marriage. Any marriage that runs into such problems is dysfunctional. Our own effort now is to bring them back to the level of functionality, whereby they will be performing such roles as assigned to marriage. Let's move on. The misconception about marriage, because I told you that the first problem in marriage is misconception about marriage. That's why we want to have a pragmatic view. I've started giving you the reality by telling you that people are living far apart. They are not supporting the purpose of marriage. Are we together? Now, if you want to understand how people misconstrue marriage very well, this scenario or the explanation will be better. Marriage is confused with wedding. People go about confusing marriage with wedding. They think marriage is wedding. No. Wedding is a ceremony where two people are joined together in the presence of witnesses. But marriage is a lifetime investment or relationship. While wedding is a ceremony used to announce the forming of a union between two individuals, marriage on its own is a lifetime relationship. Wedding is for a day or two, while marriage is a lifetime journey that has to be prepared for adequately. Wedding is just for because of affluence, big money, at most a whole week. I doubt it if a wedding can go beyond a whole week. But marriage is a lifetime affair that ought to be prepared for adequately. Let me go further. Wedding is a ceremony put together to showcase our material wealth how wealthy a family is, how classy they are, their clouds, people that will come. The president of a nation will attend my daughter's wedding. I will invite. So these are the purposes of wedding. I will give you a conclusion that is very dangerous this morning, but that is the essence of this type of talk. But marriage is meant to showcase, let me give you once more, how endowed you are in the area of wisdom, patience, moral, perseverance, and tolerance. Wedding doesn't need all that. I will give you reason. It must be noted that when wedding ceremony is ongoing, families and friends are there to douse tension and to relax the atmosphere. A stupid person can have wedding. You don't need much wisdom for that, because we have planners. You don't need to use your brain about wedding. All you need to do with your brain is to know that you will put on your gown or your coat very well. Even when you don't know how to do that, there are people that will do it and they will collect their money. But you don't do that in marriage. Somebody will come and cook for you, for your husband, to be paid. Somebody will come and be talking to your wife in a good voice, not fighting all the time, to be paid. Is that possible? That is impossible. That is where people should begin to think. Don't forget, when wedding is going on, there will be a lot of family members. Let me give you a secret. That is why it is practical. When a mother or a senior sister knows that their own daughter, that is the bride, is hot-tempered, they will station somebody with her. Are you getting me? That will be calming her down. Whenever she wants to react, that person will say, oh no, bro, darling, don't let it. It's not up to that. The same thing, if a man is very, very aggressive, that's why we have best man, best lady, bridal, whatever. The best man knows that his friend is very, very aggressive. Anytime he wants to say, move now, they say we should move. The best man will jack him. Today is your day of joy. But take this and take it home. In marriage proper, the couple will be left alone to decide their fate. Nobody to douse tension for them. They have to learn to douse tension, to reduce infringements, and move on together. I hope you are picking what I'm saying. I hope you are joining them together. That is, marriage proper is not going to accommodate the third party. It will be between two that must be able to do their thing very well. It is equally important to realize that wedding allows multiple relationships, such that the potential wife or husband relates with family members for the success of the ceremony. Marriage is a relationship strictly between the husband and the wife. The role of family members and friends become minimal after the wedding. So before the wedding and during the wedding ceremony, there are lots of involvement of others. How can I help you? How do we go about it? But immediately you finish your ceremony, you are on your own. You have to take it by yourself. It is your own cup of struggling. Now I've not given you what I intend to pass across. The misconception about marriage becomes apparent, becomes so transparent when the resources deployed to the preparation of wedding is compared to that of marriage proper. If the way people prepare for 2-day event called wedding, if they prepare for marriage that will last for 50 years like that, they are likely to succeed. I've never seen people asking, what do we need to put together to have a successful marriage? People only ask what they will put together to have a successful wedding. I don't know if you are following what I'm saying. You will see the husband and wife for 3 months before wedding. They will be together talking. How do we do this? How do we get this? How do we... Not a single day will they sit down and say, what are the things entailed or needed for the success of our union? It is about the success of the wedding. No wonder wedding in most cases is always successful while marriage becomes unsuccessful. It's an irony that 2-day event takes 2 years of preparation while 50 years journey is not well prepared for. No wonder people have the best of wedding, as I said, and the worst of marriage. It is such that they ought to decide and dedicate themselves to the success of their marriage, and that one is abandoned for what is of lesser importance. I am not saying having a beautiful wedding to announce your union, erect your relationship, joining together. I'm not saying it's not important, but I will stand here to tell you it's of less importance than the marriage itself. So I want to conclude by saying there can be marriage without wedding ceremony. There can never be wedding ceremony without marriage. The moment the wedding ceremony comes in, what you are saying is that these two people are married. It can break immediately, but you can be married. Somebody say, hey, what is this man say? Call your pastor, go to court. You don't need anybody. You need a witness. Ask somebody that is sitting on the chair when you get to the court, come and be my witness. They will witness it for you. Is that a ceremony? Is that a wedding ceremony? It is called sign-in ceremony. You just sign the documents and you leave. That does not mean your wedding will not be successful. I am not recommending that people should not. To go into funfair is very good. At least on that day. If you will never feed people again in your life, you will help God on the day of your wedding to feed a lot of people. God has no business that day looking for food for some people. So nobody should say it is not good. At least you will provide for those that are selling clothes, selling materials, selling things that you will use. So I am not standing before you to cancel wedding ceremony. I'm only saying give higher attention. Be more pragmatic from this moment. Prepare for marriage much more than you prepare for wedding. Is that clear? It will help us a lot. Having said this, you want to ask yourself, this man has been talking about the misconception. And what is the right perspective to marriage? In addition to misconception, so that we can go straight to others. Many see marriage as an escape. But it is not. What do I mean by escape? Some believe that once they are married, they have escaped some problems they were encountering either, as a single person. That is not true. Some may be replaced with other problems in marriage. Don't have that feelings again. That, when I'm married now, all my friends will not be troubling me for food, for money, for this. They will still be there, or you meet some other people where you are going. Don't think, in our family, they have been using me too much. I'm the one that have been doing a lot of house chores. So if I can escape, don't forget, you are going to where you will face domestic job more than ever before. So don't see it. If you consider marriage as an escape and you meet worst situation, you might be destabilized. But we will talk about all these things. Let me now go to illuminating perspective. Let's look at an illuminating perspective. When we say marriage, what are the ways we should begin to look at marriage? You know that is why we have episodes. I won't be able to finish, but as we move on, you'll be getting this thing beautifully. An illuminating perspective about marriage is aptly defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the relationship that exists between a husband and a wife. I love this definition. Why? Because of its emphasis on the word relationship. Marriage is defined as the relationship that exists between a husband and a wife. Three things quickly. Number one, it is a relationship. Two, that relationship is between one man and one woman. Is that between a husband and a wife? Number three, the word exist means continuous thing. It didn't say that existed. Am I talking? I know I have grammarians in the house. They understand what I'm saying better. It said that exists with emphasis on S. That will continue to exist. It is not the past relationship that makes marriage. Most of the marriages are in trouble today because the relationship that existed, premarital relationship, was beautiful, solid, loving, and caring. But the moment marriage is consummated, people relax. After that, when children enters into the marriage, the relationship breaks down completely. Nobody is bothered about the way you dress. Nobody is bothered whether the man will hit or not. I have just said that if it is relationship that defines marriage, then it will be the best to understand what relationship is all about. The deep meaning of that word relationship. To know what relationship entails. By living up to the demands of relationship, there will be a successful wedding. So, I have to go further now to look into what relationship is all about. That is the illuminating perspective about marriage. Don't just hear the word marriage and jump up. Marriage, 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 marriage. What is marriage? Marriage is relationship that exists between a man or a husband and a wife. Then what is relationship? One, relationship is the way two or more people, groups, countries, and so on talk, behave towards one another and deal with each other. I love that. I love that. It's not about marriage now to start with. They say relationship is the way in which two or more people or groups or countries do talk, behave, and deal with each other or one another, as the case may be. I will take it one by one. Let me now move further. Relationship is defined by that dictionary as a romantic or sexual friendship between two people. I think that one is talking about husband and wife. It says a romantic or sexual relationship or friendship rather between two people. In this case, a husband and a wife. Meaning that if there is no romance and there is no sex, the relationship aspect of marriage has been defeated. And once that is defeated, the marriage is about to crumble. We will look into it properly. But what I'm saying is that we don't understand. When I was very, very young, let me quickly guess my age then. I shouldn't be more than 12 to 13 years of age. An event occurred, and it was for a long time stored in my memory. A lady was given to a man as wife. To be candid and to be sincere, the lady, by my own understanding as at that time, was too young to be a wife. But as long as they have said, you are the wife of this man, and they have taken money and dowry and everything, but something happened. Around 6:30 p.m., the lady ran out half naked. She managed to have some little thing to wrap her waist, and she was running, and the man was running after her. People in the area now intervene, and they said, what's going on? He said, he wants to sleep on me. He wants me to lie down and he will sleep on me. People now said, you want to sleep on your sister? Are you so mad? The man said, she's my wife. The elders there look at the girl. Are you the wife? She said yes. They said, go back inside. What's your problem? That is part of the reason why you are known as wife. I was too young to understand that. So, if you know that you don't have room for romance and sex, this is the beginning of the truth. Don't ever go into marriage. Don't say, hey, is that the what? Some people will say, is it food? That is foolishness. I was counseling one man. He told me, I will get rid of that lady, I will marry another person. I said, what happened? He said, do you know that anytime we are together, she will cover herself? I said, herself. He said, except I have to force her, she will cover herself. I said, you're supposed to be Adam and Eve in your room. Adam and Eve, as we were made to understand, were not covered with anything. So that is the beginning of. Then finally, relationship is defined as the way in which two or more people or things are connected. That is, to me, that's why I love to consult a lot of dictionaries while preparing for this type of a thing. But I quickly stopped and got stuck with this one, because it has brought out the beautiful points I want to use. He said, the way two or more people or things are connected, connection. That is one of the things. So let us now analyze. From the above definition of relationship, we have captured marriage happening. One, the way in which two people talk to each other. This implies that marriage is a business of communication. If you believe you owe no one an explanation or discussion, you are not prepared for marriage. I think we have started talking. Are we together? From the definition of marriage, marriage is defined as the relationship that exists between a man or a husband and a wife. Relationship is defined as the way two people talk together, the way they are connected. So, one of the most important thing is the way people talk to each other. This implies marriage is a business of communication. I keep saying it. If you don't like talking, me, I don't like talking. Me, I don't have time for talking. Then, or you believe you owe nobody an explanation, stay in your father's house as a lady. Stay with yourself as a man. You are not prepared for marriage. Is that taken? Two, the way people behave. Remember my definition from Webster Dictionary. The way people behave to each other. Many do not realize that their behavior in a relationship shapes or mar the relationship. Your behavior is very, very important in marriage, in relationship. Behavioral factors, which is a very fundamental factor in marriage, is of great concern to us. The dictionary says the way people behave to each other. So, the way you are behaving to your spouse, the way you are behaving to your husband or your wife, will determine the success or failure of the marriage. We will come to that in the future. But for this illuminating perspective, what we are saying in essence is this: your behavior is an integral part of marriage, or something to be considered that will make the marriage a success or a failure. Inasmuch as one is not a psychologist who has interest in why people behave the way they do, here we will like to point it out, the likely or possible behaviors in marriage. We would like to point it out. So in marriage, the way you talk, in communication, the way you behave as per behavioral pattern of your life will reflect and decide the future of your marriage. Number 3, from the dictionary, the way they deal with each other. This is how they engage or take action with regards to each other. As we move on, it's already prepared by God. I will give you likely signs and behavior of people. Singles, you will enjoy when we get there. I will tell you the type of husband or wife you are likely to marry. I will give you signs that if you see it in a person, this is the person he will be in the future. I am not a soothsayer, but I have taken time to study human beings. That is why I read economics, and it is the study of human beings. How the pattern of social sciences studies human beings. And I've gone further because of this type of call that God, or mandate that God has given me. By the time I begin to dish it out in the nearest episodes, you will know that if this is the way it's behaving during courtship, that is the way it will behave. I will not rush you out. Say, don't marry him. I will only prepare you. I will give you the complementary way of life. If you cannot have the complement, just move out of that relationship. Am I talking to somebody? Because the way people behave, the way they deal with each other, that is how they engage or take action with regards to each other. In essence, how much involved they have with each other, which is expected to be. Many people deal with themselves in absentia, very far away. No. It has nothing to do with the first definition where I told you that we have defeated the purpose of marriage. When somebody is married, is living in America, one is living in Africa. The Bible says it is not good for the man to live alone, or the woman. They have violated that rule. But this one is even worse. They may be living together, but they are dealing with themselves absent-mindedly, in an absent manner. They are not so deeply connected. The connection is very weak. Am I communicating? Let me jump gun to bring something to you. Maybe that one will help you in this episode. Do you know that it is very wrong for husband to dress at home in the morning and his tie is not well placed? And outsiders will be the ones that will say, what is wrong with your tie? Whenever husband is about to go out, a connected wife will move closer to say, how will you are there? Before you spend 2 minutes with people, you will see physical errors that you can correct. Are you getting it? But if the wife is still sleeping on the bed because it is not yet time for her to go to her own work, and the husband goes out and everybody begins to say, sir, adjust your tie, adjust, the wife has a problem. Or the husband who may not want to communicate. That is why I keep saying this. I never for one day keep malice. I can never do it. Even if I will keep malice in my life, it will not be with my wife. I don't know how husband and wife will be living together and they will not talk to each other. That they have violated all the laws of marriage. No communication, no relationship, no connection. And you said it's a sexual, if you are not talking, if you are keeping malice, both sexual and romantic aspects have been totally destroyed. Let's move on. 4. A romantic or sexual friendship between two people. Here, sex is involved, not as a commercial sex or a commercial sex worker, but one born out of friendship and deep intimacy or romantic relationship. As long as sex is about satisfying urge and not born out of genuine love for each other, the marriage is dead. One can easily get sex mate, but marriage requires a soul mate. Can you differentiate between the two? A sex mate does not require marrying someone, but marriage is about soul mates, not sex mates. Five. The way two are connected. This is very important, as disconnected people never make a strong team. Disconnected people will never make a strong team. If you are well connected, do you know that God is so wonderful? I will give you 3 examples of deep connection. Do you know that when husband and wife are so much connected, they begin to resemble each other? Oh, you have never noticed that. When husband and wife are really connected, The image of the wife will be reflecting in husband. The image of the husband will be reflecting in the wife. Number 2, their reasoning will be tailored towards the same. They may not be together. When you go to this one, you say, I'm bringing a son to your house that will be helping your wife. The husband will say, no, I don't think we need somebody. The way we are. Go to the wife before the husband communicate. The wife will say, do we really need somebody? Our work does not require all that. You will know they are deeply connected. They know the needs of the family. They know what the family wants. Whether they can accommodate another person or not. A situation whereby the husband will promise the family, hey, bring your daughter, I will help. And the daughter will come, the wife will say, Hobby, you should have contacted me. Where will this one sleep? Let her sleep on your head. As if the husband is the owner of the universe. You don't own yourself in marriage. You are owned by each other. Am I talking? Are we together? Connection. Deep connections in the following area: in the spirit, in the physical, emotional, psychological, and physiological. We gum the two together in love and makes it difficult to separate them. Many marriages are easily separated today because they are not well connected. They are not well gummed together. If you put adhesives gum on 2 cartons and you gum it properly, to separate the two, you want to tear one away. And I want to give you something. If a spouse, one of a set of couple dies, the number of years in money will be determined by the connection between the two. Are you getting my point? When one is bereaved of the other, it is the connection that determines the length of money. I'm not talking about sitting at home crying. Memory, remembrance, thinking about. For the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, people will still be talking to somebody. Hey, get out of this mood. But do you know some people will lose their wife today, they will go out tomorrow talking to another lady. Some wife will lose their husband, tomorrow somebody will come and rub their back in an attempt to console them. They can even go to bed the following day. Somebody say, that's not possible. What are you talking about? Some people are disconnected. Death only helps somebody to take somebody away. You take people crying as a sign of money. People must cry so that people will not know their heart. Some people, immediately you go, they will wash their face, they will go into the room, eat good food. When they know you are around, they will go and put on one of their useless clothes just to show you that somebody died. The moment it is some minutes to the night, they will close the door very well. They will eat good food, enjoy their life. Why? It has to do with connection. So, from today henceforth, when you are talking about marriage, just know you want to be connected with somebody. That is why we should think very well. So, I want to conclude that if marriage depends on the way things are done, it is therefore important to understand the way a potential partner is. This has to do with the knowledge of the best way to relate to each other. This has to do with the way a partner behaves, the way he reacts or she reacts, the way he perceives, and so on and so forth. By this, we are talking about the second partner will be able to be in best position to support his or her peer. what are we talking about as I'm rounding up? Our perception about marriage has led to a lot of crashes in marriage. If we know the true meaning of marriage, we will be able to handle it with care. We will be able to handle it with understanding. We will be able to handle it. The institution will not suffer crash landing as it is always. When we move on in other episodes, I begin to reveal some things to you. But the most important thing today that I think we have covered is to let you know that without correct perception about marriages, marriage will continue to crumble. Nobody can do anything to it. It is such that you will be working without aims and objectives. You will be working without, you will be beating about the bush. You will not know how best to keep your marriage. In order that your marriage might succeed, find out what does it involve to be in marriage. Don't see marriage as one of those efforts you make in life. It's not an ordinary effort. It's a lifetime effort. So, I want to say that marriage is an institution ordained by God, and it has to fulfill its purpose and plans and objectives. Don't rely on the attractiveness of marriage to enter into marriage. Consider the function it has to play. It shall be well with you. Thank you very much.